Yo, Attorney London here, and welcome to Deliberate with Dada. Today's question of the day is, can my employer require me to take a medical exam as a condition to come to work? And generally speaking, the Americans with Disability Act prohibits an employer from mandating a medical examination related to an employee's disability, unless there's a job-related business necessity. And the employer has to have reason to believe that that employee's medical condition poses a direct threat of harm in the workplace. And that belief on the employer's behalf has to be objective. And so what I mean by objective is they have to have a specific reason. They have to observe specific behaviors on behalf of the employee. So if the employee was exhibiting flu-like symptoms, if they had a fever, if they were experiencing shortness of breath, those things would pose a direct threat. As it relates to COVID-19, COVID-19 has been identified as a pandemic. And so individuals with the virus may cause a direct threat to others. As such, local municipalities, many states were on stay-at-home orders and quarantine orders, and that would classify as a direct threat in the workplace. So now that we've identified that COVID-19 is a direct threat of harm in the workplace, the employer is going to be permitted to conduct certain medical examinations as a condition to enter to work. So you may show up to work tomorrow and find out that your employer is requiring you to take your temperature. And just to state it bluntly, we think of taking your temperature as a pretty normal act, but it's a medical examination. You are being examined for health purposes when you take your temperature. The employer may set a threshold, and anyone above that threshold may be required to go home for the day. The CDC has given the guidance of 100.4, in indicating that a temperature of 100.4 is a sign of a fever. We know that you could have a fever and not have COVID-19, but in this instance, the employer is trying to keep the workplace safe. They are minimizing the threats, and therefore a fever above the threshold set by the employer may require you to go home. The recommendation that I would make to an employer is where you're going to take a temperature, you want to make sure that you're taking the least evasive method, right? There's several ways you can take a temperature. You can put it under the armpit. You can require someone to put something in your mouth. When you think about how contagious the virus is, it's most prudent and the smartest approach to use some type of device that is a contactless device. You have someone hold it, they point, you can get the temperature. The right device will allow you to stay 6 feet apart. The other recommendation is that you take this temperature in private. It is still a medical exam, and whomever is taking it, I would require some consistency in that person or persons, and that you attach some privacy to it. However, as a condition to your employment and in the light of a pandemic, an employer can require you to have your temperature taken before entry into the workplace. The second medical exam that an employer may require you to take in light of the pandemic COVID-19 is a general health screening. This can go in tandem with the temperature check, or it can be separate. And so an employer can ask you questions like, do you have a fever? Are you experiencing shortness of breath? Do you have a cough? Are you experiencing chills? Have you had repeated chills? Are you ill? Is there anyone in your home who has contracted COVID-19? Are you caring for anyone that is taking care of someone that is positive or has tested positive for COVID-19. It's important for the employer to understand that while you are permitted to do this health screening, your questions have to be narrow and they have to be specific to identifying whether or not someone has COVID-19. So you don't want to get into a space where you're asking broad-ranging questions that may help an employer understand other underlying illnesses without getting to COVID-19. And sort of keep the questions specific to the symptoms as posted by the CDC. If there's an update, then you can add to those questions. But you don't want to have your questions be so broad that you're starting to uncover other potential disabilities. COVID-19 is where you want to keep the questions. Thank you for tuning in to Deliberate with Dada. Hope you liked it. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed. Look forward to seeing you back soon. If you'd like to follow us on other social media, it's London Law Firm on Instagram and London Law Firm on Facebook. If you have a real legal matter and you would like free consultation, you can go to my webpage at www.thelondonlawfirmllc.com. Use the contact us link and it will have an email come directly to me and we can review whatever you have going on. Look forward to seeing you soon. Again, please subscribe, like. Look forward to talking to you soon.